You know, Scott, the joke used to be, before Wayne Gretzky arrived in Los Angeles, you call the box office and say, what time is the game tonight? And they'd say, what time can you get here? That all changed. Pleased to be joined by Wayne, and your buddies are PJ and Kelly, and you're a Ranger and you're a King. So, Wayne, it's a special Stanley Cup for, obviously, those two cities. What's your first blush, just thought on the Rangers meeting the Kings for all the marbles?
Well, it's really quite amazing. I think that if you look at the teams in the East, and there's a lot of really good hockey clubs, and to be down 3-1 to maybe the most talented team in the National Hockey League, and have a tragedy unfortunately happen to one of their key players, and for them to rally around each other, and for him to stand up, take the bull by the horns, and be the leader that St. Louis has become for this club. Their goaltending's been spectacular, the coaching's been very solid, and they deserve to be here right now. This is exciting for hockey. I always used to say when I played in LA, the greatest thing that ever happened in the National Hockey League would be an LA-New York final, and we're having it now, and it's sort of Hollywood versus Broadway. This is just going to be exceptional hockey. You look at the semifinals, you guys watch, Montreal, New York was fabulous hockey. Chicago and LA was wonderful hockey. I can't imagine the hockey getting any better than it's been, but there's no question. I think this level is going to go a notch even higher.
You know what? That 93 Leaf series, for a lot of people, is as good as it ever got. And then, of course, the final against Montreal, that was a Cinderella year, 100th anniversary of the Cup. This is right on par, there's no doubt, Wayne. You said to me back in 1990 in Quebec City, about February, the Oilers could win the Cup because their 6 defense as a core is the best defense at Edmonton with, you know, I couldn't think Kevin Lowe, of course, and Steve Smith, but I didn't expect. So do you think that's the Rangers, maybe their shot to beat what looks like a formidable foe?
Well, listen, I like the way, the style that both teams play. Thank goodness we don't play that trap anymore and 4 guys back and 1 guy forecheck. These teams both will hound the puck. They're both responsible defensively. Both teams like to block a lot of shots, and both have great goaltenders. I said yesterday, you're not going to have a goaltender lose this series, but one of those 2 guys is definitely going to win this series. That's how good they both are. It reminds me kind of Hextall and Fuhrer in 1987. You know, we fortunately won Game 7, 3-1, but Hextall had no shame whatsoever. He won Conn Smythe, and he's probably the best player in the playoffs. But Grant Fuhrer was just a little bit better, and he won that Stanley Cup for us. So I look for this series to come down to which goaltender wins the Stanley Cup, and both of them are very capable.
One neat thing that happened when you were traded here was Jimmy Carson went to Edmonton, but then they flipped him for Joe Murphy and Adam Graves.
Right. And
they put him on a line with Marty Jelna because there were 3 kids, and Glenn and John Muckler, Glenn Sather, thought that it would be good to have no peer pressure with kids. Toffoli and Pearson with Jeff Carter. Is that amazing or what?
It's really, truly amazing. And I've said this recently, Darryl Sutter might be the best coach in the National Hockey League right now. And by that I mean he's changed his philosophy since the 80s and 90s of the style of play and how he's handling his players and how he's coaching. He's adapted with the times. He chases the puck. He believes in young guys. He lets them make mistakes. He pats them on the back. He gives them that special congratulations when they need it. But listen, to me this series is Kopitar's series. I think Anze Kopitar right now is 3rd best player in the National Hockey League, only behind Crosby and Taves, and he's getting better every game. This man, for people in Canada who haven't had a chance to see him game in, game out, just watch him play. Doughty's fantastic. Nash is a great player. St. Louis is a good player. All those guys are going to be important factors here. But to me, Kopitar is the guy. He plays defensively, takes all the key face-offs. He can get big goal. He makes key plays offensively. I think this series could revolve around him. If he plays the way he can play, it's going to be tough for the Rangers to combat that.
And Gabrick obviously playing on that wing, 12 goals.
That makes things easier when you know the guy you're giving the puck to is going to put it in the net. Dean Lombardi made 2 gutsy trades. He got Gabrick, and he's tremendous. He went out and got Jeff Carter 2 years ago, and this guy, Carter's been nothing but solid and sensational for this hockey club. And then from New York's point of view, Sather's the same way. He's gutsy. He went out, got St. Louis. It was probably the best trade he's made in the last couple of years. St. Louis fit in like a glove, and they're all following him. And Marty knows how to win. This is going to be a wonderful series.
Glenn reminds me a bit of Darryl Sutter, too, in the sense you were always a little afraid of him, or at least I was. You know,
I was too.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He could get you, you know, make you feel confident, but boy, he could scare you.
But he also, what Glenn said there, if you're ever in trouble, that was the first call you made because he'd get you out of trouble.
So I think of Mike Richards and Brad Richards, and I'll tell you why. You know, you take regular season and playoff points combined all time, you're like 3,300. Mark's about 1,000 behind you. He's second. Gordie Howe's third. Fifth is Steve Yzerman. Fourth is Ron Francis, and that would surprise a lot of people. He was huge for the Pittsburgh Stanley Cup. So Richards, Mike Richards, Brad Richards, those are the kinds of guys that have, they're the all-time leaders in points for these two teams.
And listen, you can't win a Stanley Cup without a group. You have to have your team, and both teams have that. Look at the Rangers stepped in with a broken jaw and played very well for them, and was a key part of their success. You look at, as you said, the Los Angeles Kings, Richards, King, Nolan when he's in the lineup. It's just a really good group and a good mix, and they play off of each other. I've never seen a team face adversity like this hockey club has faced. Not even the great Montreal Canadiens, not even the Islanders or the Oilers. This team was down 3-0, came back and won. They were down 3-2 to Anaheim, maybe the best team in the regular season, win that series. Then they go into Chicago after losing Game 6 and win in overtime. So it's a special group. But the other side's the exact same way. The emotional level the Rangers have right now is just wonderful. And the enthusiasm their team has, and the city of New York has right now, something I haven't seen in a long time. This is great for the National Hockey League.
One last thing, Wayne, the defense, because McDonough was great all year. He got hurt, and then he's back to where he was against Montreal. You had Paul Coffey, you had Brian Leetch toward the end there. Drew Doughty, Ryan McDonough. You see them as on par with those two?
Well, listen, you can't try to be something you're not. Paul Coffey never tried to be Ray Bourque, and Ray Bourque never tried to be Paul Coffey. And the worst thing that these two guys could do is try to be the other person. McDonough's his own kind of player. He's going to do some special things. Doughty's a different kind of a player because he reminds me a lot like Brian Leetch, because offensively he can make plays, he can move the puck, he can score goals, but he's as tough as anybody on the ice. I saw San Jose and Anaheim try and run him out of the building, but he stood up and was counted for. This kid is a very good hockey player. And like I said, reminds me a lot of Brian Leetch.
6 times you led the Stanley Cup playoffs in scoring. 6 times you went to the final. What a treat to have you aboard for Game 1 tonight.
Thank you very much. It's going to be exciting.
Isn't it, though? Wayne Gretzky. Okay, Marty.